What's going on, everybody? I'm back. This is Clint with odds.com for your post-weigh-in recap video. I break down everything that happened at the weigh-ins this morning, give you all my reads and information, and see if we can find a couple of extra spots to make a little bit of cash on the UFC fights this weekend. Let's get right on down into it. Kicking off our day, we've got Saeed Nurmagomedov taking on Mark Striegl. Now, Saeed came in at 136. He is your classic Russian, stoic and calm, unfazed on the scale when he makes weight. Mark Striegl came in at 135, and this kid is jacked. He is absolutely solid muscle from head to toe. He came in wearing the sunglasses, though, something I'm really not a fan of. It's hard to read people's faces, how sucked out they are, if they've had a bad weight cut, stuff like that. When they've got those sunglasses and the mask on, there's essentially nothing for me to look at. However, once he made weight, he gave a big flex and seemed like he was excited, ready to go. He moved well, so based on body language, I don't think he had a tough cut. And he's another one of these professional guys. He's been doing it for quite some time, so I don't think there's any issues there. Now, at the face-off, Mark was not quite as small as I expected. He sized up better than I thought he would against Saeed Nurmagomedov. It was a really good face-off. It was intense, and we have got a big underdog here. Mark Striegl is currently about plus 325 out there. He is an absolute monster early on in the fight. The only problem is if he cannot initiate the grappling, if he can't get this fight to the mat, then he's kind of going to be in trouble against the longer, lankier, very skilled Saeed Nurmagomedov. So I don't suggest much in the way of betting on this fight. The only way I think that I would look to bet it is if you wanted to have a little taste of something, maybe sprinkle that Mark Striegl by submission prop. It's coming out about 9-1 right now, but he's, it's a dogger pass spot. I don't know that Saeed deserves to be quite this big of a favorite. Mark is definitely a tough fighter to, this is a big UFC debut for him. He's done well on the regional scene, but we don't know what he's going to look like up at this level. I've seen some cardio issues. If he can't get the wrestling or the grappling engaged, he will struggle on the feet. So I don't expect Mark to either land a knockout or win a decision. His only path to victory here really is a submission. So that's kind of the way that you can look at it. But I also don't want to trust Saeed at minus 400. So this one's a pass for me, like I said, unless you feel like sprinkling that sub prop. You're getting some decent value there. Next fight up, we've got Gadzhimurad Antigulov taking on Maxim Grishin. Now, Antigulov came in at 206. Pardon me. He is a big boy, big flabby dude, all right? Now, we know Antigulov does not do his cardio. He doesn't like the treadmill. He doesn't have a gas tank. Maxim Grishin came in at 205.5. He was amped up before they even called the weight. He was up there kind of ready to go, in great shape, very excited. You can tell he came in and he took his L. He got jumped by the gang that is the UFC. He got thrown to the heavyweights in his debut, and now he's finally getting a chance to fight at his proper weight class against a proper opponent, and damn is he huge. Maxim Grishin is much bigger than Antigulov. I did not expect the face-offs to be quite that lopsided. You can tell he is dialed in. He is ready to go. It was intense. He looks pure confidence. And the fact that Antigulov really has no cardio beyond the 2-minute mark, I mean, this is all Grishin in my opinion, unless he gets caught early. Once again, I'm going to go back to the round prop that we talked about with my boy Lock of the Night on Monday's podcast, the under 1.5. Because either Antigulov is going to win this thing via submission in round 1, or he's not going to have anything to offer, and Max is going to just turn it on him either late round 1 or the end of round 2. So I still like that under. Haven't quite got my hands on it yet, but it's another one that I'm probably going to play. Jamie Mullarkey coming in against Faraz Ziam. Now, Jamie Mullarkey came in at 156, and he was really red in the face. I mean, like, really red in the face. We haven't seen a lot from him, so I don't know if that's a normal thing of his or if he was literally jumping off the treadmill to come do his weigh-ins, but he missed weight on the first attempt, so that was not a good look. I don't like what I see. He needed the towel. They brought it out. He did drop the shorts, and he did make 156 after that point, so he didn't have to go back and cut extra weight or anything like that. For Ziam on the other side, he was in great shape. He looked really intense. No issues with him. He came in at 156 as well. And then when they did the face-offs, Mullarkey was still red. Now, this is something that I don't know if he's just got the kind of skin complexion that makes you lobster-faced. I had a buddy that I used to drink with in college that was, one beer in and he was lobster all the way through and was like that for 6 hours. So maybe that's just the way his skin works. But it doesn't bode well for me. It was an intense face-off. Mullarkey still looked like he had some gas in the tank and was ready to stare down Ziam. But honestly, I'm not a huge fan of this spot at this point. I bet Mullarkey very, very early on, and it's been a flood of money coming in on him ever since. He's all the way down to minus 150 at this point, and I'm honestly very tempted to hedge. If I can get plus 125 or plus 130 on the other side with Ziam, I might get off this fight because Ziam definitely won the face-off. Ziam definitely won the weigh-ins. He's the bigger guy. He's the lankier guy, and with both these men being off for a full calendar year, I'm not sure what we're gonna see on the Saturday fight night here. Both these guys could make improvements, and if Ziam has made some big improvements on his side of things, maybe he's the better fighter at this stage. I didn't expect him to be, but maybe at this point he is. So again, that's a spot. Keep an eye out on my Twitter at DieHardMMAPod. I very well might hedge off of that one because we got in early and now we can get dog money late. We can get a perfect break-even spot, or maybe a spot where we win just a tiny little bit on Ziam if he does come through. Jung Park came in at 185. Same old, threw up the peace sign when he was up there. Dude is a consummate professional. He's done this a million times before, no issues at all. And he's not a super big guy for 185. He's not ripped up or anything like that. I don't think he has a tough weight cut. He's got John Phillips coming in on the other side. He came in at 186. Absolutely built. Big flex. Dude looks like he's packed on some muscle, which, he's a striker. He's not much of a grappler, so no surprise there. He's got that big knockout power. They call him the White Mike Tyson. When they faced off, Park is a decent little chunk bigger than John Phillips is, which kind of surprised me. I thought they were going to be nose to nose, but Park being the bigger man definitely leans me more his way. They did a fun little selfie. Phillips made it look like he was going to get into Park's face, and Dana White stepped up like he was going to split him. And then Phillips pulls his phone out, and they go for a selfie, and he drops his damn phone. So I hope he wins and gets a bonus because he's going to need it to buy a new phone after Saturday. Jung Park is sitting at about minus 270. The comeback plus 230 on the White Mike Tyson John Phillips. And I think Jung Park by decision is a sneaky, sneaky way to play this fight. We know Phillips has trouble with the grappling. We know that Jung Park is a more technical fighter on the feet, but you don't want to stand with Phillips. You give him that opportunity for the knockout, and more often than not, he will come through and take it. I think that Jung Park is probably the right side here, although I do not like laying that kind of chalk against an explosive and powerful fighter like Phillips. And I think people are expecting this thing to not finish. They're expecting this thing to finish. Park inside the distance is plus 105. So people are thinking he's going to get a knockout himself. He's going to get a submission. He's going to get a TKO, something like that. Phillips is insanely durable, insanely tough. The choke is really the only way for Phillips to get Park out of there, in my opinion. I apologize. When I said that he was insanely tough and durable, I was referring to Phillips. I think I said the last name Park. So Phillips is so tough to put away. I know we saw Khamzat Chimaev slice through him like a knife through butter, but that's not Park. Park is not going to be able to do that. So I would look at either Park by submission or Park by decision if you had to have some kind of action on this fight, but I do think that this one is making it to the judges' scorecards. This could be another sneaky, sneaky spot to look for an over. I see fight goes to decision at plus 165, so you're getting plus money for this one to go all three, and I don't think that that's necessarily a bad look either. Jillian Robertson coming in here against Poliana Botello. Jillian made 125.5. She was on point, confident flex, ready to go, looked in great shape. Poliana Botello came in at 125 as well, and she was pumped up. She threw a big old flex up there. She was really excited, pulled the mask off, gave a little bit of a roar. She's ready to go. And when they faced off, she stepped up on Jillian. She got real close in her face, got the fists up there. They had a really intense stare down. Now, again, this is one I've talked about before, that I think this is Jillian Robertson all day. There's been nothing but love for Poliana Botello on the betting line. You can get her at plus 170 right now, plus 180. Jillian is sitting right around that minus 205, minus 210 range. And I still think that this is a Jillian spot because unless Botello has turned into a phenomenal counter wrestler, which I don't expect to see, she's going to end up on her back. And when she ends up on her back, it's going to be Jillian all day. So I think Jillian inside the distance is the go here. I don't necessarily want to trust this one at the minus 200 spot, even though I do think that Jillian is going to win. She doesn't really win decisions. So I don't see the point in laying that kind of chalk. And if she can't get this fight to the floor, then I think Poliana Botello probably puts her away on the feet. So there's no point in laying that kind of wood with Jillian, in my personal opinion. We've got Mateusz Gamrot taking on Guram Kutateladze, and we've got Gamrot coming in at 156, and he was pumped up. This dude was roaring at the camera, clapping his hands, big flesh, pumping his chest. He's ready to go. Guram on the other side, 156 as well. And this dude is shredded. He's absolutely ripped. When they faced off, Gamrot got up in Guram's face, and they sized up really, really well. I thought that Gamrot was going to be a little bit bigger in this spot, but these guys are actually really evenly matched, physically speaking. This is a spot where Gamrot is a minus 320 favorite, and I just don't know that it's justified. Guram is not a bad fighter. I think Gamrot is the more technical fighter, but plus 260, I think you've got a live dog on your hands here. I don't know that I'm going to actually pull the trigger, but we cannot underestimate Guram's ability to finish fights. This dude has serious power in his hands. And I think if you wanted to take a shot, you could pull him, inside the distance or by KO, something like that. Get 6-1 on your money. Little sprinkle, something just for fun. But Gamrot by decision is more than likely the way that this fight is going to go. I think that's the chalky way that people would expect this fight to go. And you can get that about minus 135 right now if you're interested in making a wager on that one. But personally, it's going to be a pass. We've got Thomas Almeida taking on Jonathan Martinez. This is the one that I was probably most interested to see for the weigh-ins because we haven't seen Almeida for a good 2 years. Now, he came in once again wearing those damn sunglasses, so I can't really see how his face looks here. But he moved really well. Physically speaking, he looked really good. Came in at 146, and then Jonathan Martinez came in at 146 as well. And nothing to report for him. Martinez is always kind of shy, quiet, really muted on the scales. I wouldn't look too far into that because really that's the way he always is at the weigh-ins. Now, when they faced off, though, it was an intense stare down. They both pulled their masks off. They were ready to get up in each other's grills, and Almeida was straight fire. You could see the fire in his eyes. This guy, he is ready to go. I thought there might be somewhat of a layoff or rust feeling to him, but the intensity that I saw from that face-off lets me know that Almeida came in prepped and ready for this one. You could have gotten Almeida really close to a pick'em earlier in the week, but now that line has swung back the other way. He's about minus 120, minus 135. He's all the way up to minus 140 in places. I lean Almeida in this spot. I do think there's value on Martinez, but this is a big step up for Martinez. The only question, once again, is that 2-year layoff for Almeida. So I saw everything I needed to see. Almeida looks fantastic, although I don't know that I want to trust him with my money at this price tag. Claudio Silva taking on James Krause. Both men come in at 171 pounds, and this was a super quick weigh-in. Claudio Silva barely stepped on the scale. They called 171. He got off. Nothing to see there, nothing to report. James Krause, business as usual. Again, this is another guy who's made a career out of being a short notice replacement. Jumps on the scale, 171, jumps off the scale. Neither of these guys are looking for their moment in the spotlight. When they sized up, Krause has a slight size advantage, which really surprised me. I thought that Silva was going to be the one who was a little bit bigger, so that kind of turns the tables for me. And Silva was really peacocking. He was getting up there, puffing his chest out, trying to get up on James Krause, and I really don't know what to make of that. I don't know if he's that's a weird move to pull against the short notice replacement, but maybe it was just because of that size advantage for James Krause. Now, this line opened up Claudio Silva plus 170, and it's been a landslide of money on Claudio Silva. Just nothing but love coming in. He's all the way down to plus 125 at this point, and I know I talked about this with my man Lock of the Night. He's looking to play James Krause, and I'm very tempted to play James Krause at this point because the bookies opened up Krause as a minus 208 favorite, and now he's sitting all the way down at minus 140. If this line continues to drop, if we get a minus 130 or a minus 120 even on James Krause, I'm going to have to take that. So that might be a play for me, especially seeing that he is not down in the size category. Silva is going to be a round one sub or bust because if he can't get James Krause to the floor, he has no opportunity to win this fight. James Krause knows how to wrestle. James Krause is a phenomenal striker, and this guy is just bad on the feet. Silva is completely out of his wheelhouse when he is striking. James Krause is not going to let him off the hook that easy. And even when it gets to the floor, James Krause is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt himself. So Silva does have an advantage. There are levels to this shit, but there's no guarantee that he'll be able to submit a guy like James Krause who knows exactly what he's doing on the floor. Jimmy Crute taking on Modestas I always say Bukauskas. And Jimmy Crute coming in at 206. Quick flex, left immediately. This is another one that just went bang, bang, bang. I'm so tired of the guy that operates the scale at Fight Island because he, I I feel like he lets people slide. There are very, very few people that have any more than just 2 seconds on the scale, and I think I'm a little suspect there. Modestas on this thing, 206 as well. He jogged up on the stage. Now, I talked about this last week. When you've got somebody who's firing on all cylinders, they've got that energy. He jogs up to the scale. He's ready to go. He's ready to rock. And obviously didn't have any weight cutting issues. Most people are walking a little bit slowly, minding their steps, being careful on the stage. Now, he's jumping. He's ready to go. He's excited. Big flex. This is one where the size differences kind of make sense. Modestas is a little bit taller. He's a little leaner. Jimmy Crute's a little bit shorter, but he's the thicker one. Great face-off. Really good face-off, and then respectful as soon as it was over. They high-fived. This is going to be a fantastic fight. Now, those of you who already know, I've taken a shot on the dog here. I am on Modestas. I got in early. I got him when he peaked at about plus 280. Money's come in on him. He's sitting about plus 250, plus 255. If you feel like rolling on the dog with me, I feel like this is an okay spot. Jimmy Crute is a guy who's got all the skills in the world. He's everything you're looking for in a fighter. I just don't think he should command a minus 300 spot here. I think this line is too wide. I think Modestas is a very, very good fighter. And this is going to be a story of ground game versus striking. If Jimmy Crute is able to get this thing to the mat and smother Modestas in round one, yeah, he's probably going to get that submission. Do not be surprised when Modestas taps out on Saturday. I understand that we are betting straight into that risk. What I'm counting on is Modestas is able to keep himself safe, work his way back to the cage, get his back on the cage, and stand back up. We've seen Jimmy Crute get tired before. We've seen this guy wear down from the grappling, and that's what Modestas does. He has an endless gas tank, and he forces people to take him down because his striking is so good that when he gets back up on the feet, they get tired from trying to take him down. He uses elbows, the Travis Brown style elbows, when people are trying to get in on his hips to take him down. And then when he can keep his opponents at range, he's nasty. So I think he's a live dog here. I took a shot on Modestas, and I also have him in round 2 and round 3 for just a little sprinkle because he was 14-1 and 25-1 to finish those fights. The bookies do not expect this kid to get out of round 1, and while I understand the threat there, if he gets out of round 1, he's very live for a finish, and I like those odds. Katlyn Chookagian for the co-main event coming in at 126. She weighed in a little bit late, but she looked fine on the scales, in my opinion. Jessica Andrade came in at 126 as well. She was in a good mood, playing around, big flex, as you would expect. She's got an extra 10 pounds to work with this week, so she has no weight-cutting issues whatsoever and seemed to be happy about that. I've talked about this all week. When they faced off, there was a drastic size difference between these two women. Katlyn Chookagian is huge. They look 2 weight classes apart, not 1. Now, obviously, Jessica Andrade has got those thick running back legs. She's going to be looking for the grappling here. It's just a matter of will she be able to get Katlyn down, and will she be able to keep Katlyn down? My brain is going faster than my mouth. I apologize. So I'm on Katlyn Chookagian in this one. I took her a little earlier in the week, and I'm kind of shocked by all the constant love for Jessica Andrade here. I think that we're counting out the weight classes and the difference in physicality here for Katlyn Chookagian. She knows how to win decisions. She's more active on the feet. She knows she needs to keep her opponent at range, and she's got better wrestling, which she showed off in her last fight, than any of us expected. So I think this is going to be a great fight, and I think we have a very live dog here in the co-main event. Main event time, Brian T-City Ortega taking on the Korean zombie Chan Sung Jung. Both men came in at 146 pounds, and the biggest news here is that Ortega shaved his damn head. He's always got those long L'Oreal flowing locks. You see those stupid romance books at Walmart? He looks like that guy. He shaved it all off, though. Now, there's a report from a couple years ago where he was so close to missing weight that he thought about shaving his head. Now, the word on the street is that he's donating to Locks of Love, which is a great cause. He's, joining the cancer movement, which if anybody has cancer in their family, you know how important that is and how amazing it is that he's doing what he's doing. But I gotta wonder if there's some kind of a side motivation here. Maybe he got so close to missing weight. Maybe he had a little bit of a rough weight cut being gone for 2 years that he needed to cut the hair off because he had his hair the last time we saw him, which was just yesterday. So very, very interesting to me. Now, the other thing I noticed with Brian Ortega is he had less muscle definition. His coaches have been talking about how he revamped everything. They went and overhauled his whole game. They overhauled his strength and conditioning. He's supposed to be a different beast. He's supposed to be a different animal. I expected him to show up like Conor McGregor did, where he added 20 pounds of muscle the next time we saw him on the scales. But in fact, he looked leaner. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Now, if you're going Diaz style and you're doing triathlons and you can bike 27 miles in a morning, It makes sense. You're going to go the cardio route of things. Maybe he's going to up the intensity, up the level of output, and then he needs that type of frame to be able to hold on with that. But I expected a more muscled Brian Ortega. I expected a more physical Brian Ortega. This leads me to the conclusion that he probably has not been wrestling this entire time. He probably has not been working on his takedown game, which would lend to his incredible Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills. Very curious. Korean Zombie comes in and looked shredded, just in great shape. I mean, this guy is always on point. We've never had a problem with him on the scales, but he looked phenomenal today. When they sized up, Ortega has a slight size advantage. We knew that coming in. Both men were just stone cold. We know there's history here, but both of them are all about the business. Both of them are ready to go. There was no shenanigans. There was no crap talking. There was no getting in each other's faces. They locked eyes. Neither man wanted to flinch, and it was a very, very good stare down. I still lean to Chan Sung Jung here. I still think that this is a zombie spot. However, there's been nothing but love coming in for Chan Sung Jung. He's now sitting at about minus 200, and I don't know that I like it there. I've been looking all week at parlaying Jillian Robertson with Chan Sung Jung. You'll get even money, plus 125, something like that on that. Something is keeping me from doing that. Both their opponents are so dangerous that I don't think we want to risk that in a parlay. So Chan Sung Jung, I think the alternative would be to take him by knockout or by decision if you were looking for something to sweat on this one. Personally, I'm on the over. We got over 2.5 rounds at plus 105. Money has come in on the over. That's sitting about minus 110, minus 105 now, so we beat that line move. I hope you got in with me. I do think this fight goes over, so if you are still interested in that over, minus 105 or minus 110 is not a bad price tag. Both these guys are fully capable of finishing the fight at any point, so it could be around one submission, it could be around one knockout. We do have that threat, but I think that Ortega is going to have more gas in the tank. Again, talking about his physicality, talking about the way he came in, I'm not expecting him to wrestle or anything like that. I think he's going to look to engage in the striking and then look for a scramble opportunity to get the fight to the floor, which means if this is a striking match, it's going to play out and it's going to take a while, because I don't think that Brian Ortega is capable of knocking out Chan Sung Jung with a big bomb early in the fight. He's going to have to wear him down. And the same thing on the other side. Both these guys are durable. Both these guys have chins. So I expect this one to go over. It may even go all the way to the judges' scorecards. So my look is on the over 2.5 in the main event. That's the post-weigh-in recap video. That's the reads, everybody. A little bit light on post-weigh-in locks as far as bets goes. The only one that I've really got is that I'm scared of the bet that I made earlier in the week, and I think Ziam may be the right side here after seeing him on the scales. So that's it for today. Give me a follow at Die Hard MMA Pod over on Twitter. That'll let you know when I make a bet and what that bet will be. And make sure you subscribe here to Odds HQ. Check out odds.com where we put all of our articles, and you can find betting information and things like that. Good luck on all your action, everybody. Let's roll.